What?
I said you can flog me anytime you want. You just bend me over, like I'm getting ready to go to work in the morning, and you just come in the kitchen and like bend me over the counter and flog me a little bit. I think it'd be a great start to my day.
Flog, yes.
I mean, you could flog me right now. Will you turn that off and flog me a little bit, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I mean now. I'm joking.
I don't think you are.
Okay. Yeah, right there. I love it when you run it up between your legs. Yeah, love it. Thank you. Dear Sam, yes.
Dear Susie, where?
Dear Sam, when?
This is the What Bird Are You podcast.
This is our podcast celebrating sex.
Safe sex.
Consensual sex.
Sex without shame or guilt.
The kind of sex you discover when you become your first best lover.
We'll be talking about our own sexual experiences and bringing other people's voices into the dialogue.
And we will be reviewing sex toys.
We're people who simply enjoy sex.
So, if you are not an adult or unwilling to be part of a frank conversation about sex, this is not for you.
If you're under 18, do you really want to hear people your parents' age talking about sex? Welcome to the show. Episode 2 of the What Bird Are You podcast.
What Bird Are You podcast? Sorry.
I'm sure I said it correct. This is episode 2 of the What Bird Are You podcast.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah. And questions that we already might be asked are we using our real names? And what kind of relationship are we in? Do you want to address those?
Sure. As of right now, we are not using our real names. We're using aliases, and we've really gone back and forth about that. At first, when you suggested us use aliases, it had not occurred to me. I was completely fine with using my regular name. But the more I started thinking about it, the more I thought, I don't ever want to get into a conversation at any point where I hold back at all within this podcast. I always just want to be completely open and honest and fully out there. And if I was using my real name, or, if my mom or someone's listening to this, I may be more likely to hold back a little bit. And so after thinking through like that, that's why I thought maybe for now I was agreeable to using an alias.
Sex without shame or guilt is a big part of these episodes, but the reality is that sex is still not. What's the best description? Sex is taboo in our culture, just enough that it could shame you. There potentially is some flashback if you're a mom, if you're raising kids, if you're in the school district, if you're in the medical industry, if sex is still kind of regulated to your private world. So yeah, we're not using our real names for the most part. And we took the names from one of my favorite movies, a Wes Anderson movie, Moonrise Kingdom. So we have a little bit of an homage to that in our intro, and we're going by the main love couple's names, Susie and Sam. What's our relationship?
Well, I don't think it's something that's really easy to define. I think that first and foremost that we're friends. We're definitely lovers. And I think we are having a great time experimenting. And I think we're also really enjoying, stimulating each other, not just sexually, but mentally and artistically. That's how I see it.
Well said, and I'm definitely on the same page with that. I think the best way non-monogamous relationship works is if there's open and honest communication. I feel an ethical, non-monogamous relationship really requires a lot of communication and maturity. I think since we're in our 40s and we've had long-term monogamous relationships, this period in our lives of exploration and experimentation means that we're open to new experiences, open to new loves, open to a lot of experiences that I'm at least looking to expand and broaden my perspective, change my mind. Are you on the similar page as that?
Yeah, I think I have had really successful monogamous relationships that were very long-term and enjoyed those, but also glad to see those end. and I've really been just enjoying dating and, just seeing what's out there and spending different time with different people in different ways.
Florida's an interesting place. I went down there in February of this year to paddle with manatees and explore a variety of rivers paddling. I I enjoy paddling, both outdoors and maybe indoors too. I drive a van full of adult novelty toys. Florida is basically a living confusion in many ways. It's a beautiful state. The wildlife, the birds, the reptiles, the alligators that are there, the gators I paddled with and thought that was fantastic. There's monkeys in certain springs, beautiful springs. But it's also demographically odd in the sense that it's really Christian conservative base. There's big trucks, big flags,
Big boobs.
big boobs. The Tinder profiles, the Bumble profiles of the people that I saw while I was down there, the vast majority identify themselves as Christian conservative. And yet, there are probably more lifestyle clubs, sex clubs, in Florida than probably any other state.
It seems pretty accurate. Well, we had a great time exploring one of these while we were there. It was quite the adventure. I was a little nervous when you very first proposed it to me. It took some contemplating, but I feel like it was pretty successful.
You don't identify yourself as a swinger.
No.
You don't identify yourself as an upside-down pineapple enthusiast, the swinger icon of spouse swapping and whatnot.
Yeah.
So when I did introduce that to you, of going to a lifestyle club, a swingers club, I had been wanting to go to this, and I hadn't been to a club before. I've never been to a lifestyle club, and I've really been wanting to go. I like the idea of clothing optional areas. I like the idea of playrooms. I like the idea of being present with other people having sex. I'm very curious about that.
Yeah, and you know, I'm a very open person. I'm a very sexual person. I enjoy experimenting, and I find that even though a lot of times it's not something I've ever thought of before, once I'm in the middle of the situation, I usually really enjoy it. So I knew I was open to it, but I am new to all of this, and I think that's why I'm really excited about doing this podcast. Is I know other people are as well, and getting to hear that voice, and that is also why I was a little nervous. I wasn't quite sure what to expect, or what expectations were. And I think that's one thing that we did really well, was really have really clear communication going into it about expectations, and you made me feel really secure about, hey, you know, if we want to do this, we will, but if not, we'll just relax and enjoy each other, and it worked out.
And it worked out really well. You flew down to Orlando, and we stayed in their resort. This is that Secrets Resort in southern Orlando, in Kissimmee. In kind of like
how I say it.
A kind of a seedy neighborhood in southern Orlando, just on the outskirts of all the Disney things. But we went for a Newbie Night there. Apparently every Thursday nights they have a Newbie Night where it's low key. You pay a couple's entrance to get in. You pay some fees. You pay some more fees. We rented a room for the night. Interesting room. We will definitely talk about that room among other rooms that they have there. But yeah, low key is what we were looking for. We had agreed beforehand for certain boundaries. I wanted to make out with you in public.
Yes.
But not necessarily swap or kiss anybody else or anything like that. And just to see what these playrooms might be like. I was super curious. So.
Yeah. Well, and I think it was kind of a perfect night to start. Well, for me personally, who was a little hesitant, you know, so it was a soft introduction to it, and it was exactly what I needed. And I know that because of that positive experience, I'm open to more in the future. But if it had been past my comfort zone, you know, I may be a little more slow to re-enter. So yeah, it was really good. Do you want to talk about our room?
Well, before talking back to the room, I like to really emphasize the boundaries before going.
Yeah. You
expressed what you were interested in, what you weren't interested in, and you're really looking to not be anxious.
Yeah. And I do have a higher level of anxiety than a lot of people. You know, and I got anxious about, like, what do you wear to these things? You know, like for me, that was a big thing. Like, what am I going to wear? What's it going to be like? What can I expect? What are you going to expect? I didn't want you to be disappointed by the whole, situation at all. And So I think having that open, communication and basically, you just really put me at ease going into it. But I do think that establishing boundaries and then you allowed me to be able to say, well, here's what I would be comfortable with, or here's what I wouldn't be comfortable with. I think one thing you and I have done well, or that you've helped me do well, is establish what my red, yellow, and green is. What I'm like, hell no, I'm not going to do that. Yellow is like, yeah, I may do that if the situation's right, or green's like, bring it on. And so I think going into that, I feel like we kind of had that bit of a discussion as well. Like, oh, I absolutely don't want to do this, or if if it seems right, I'd probably be into it, or yes, I definitely want to do it.
I felt like we went there as a strong couple because
Mm-hmm.
we had so much communication, so much encouragement for each other's experience. Advice I got before going was really look after your partner. And I think that's what I like about polyamory more than anything else, and potentially the lifestyle, is that it does require maturity that I hadn't experienced. I haven't been experiencing. Well, let me rephrase that. It's the type of honesty with yourself
Mm-hmm.
that I haven't had for most of my adult life. Since I've been divorced, I've, like I said in this first episode, really been on this journey of exploring who I am with other people. And I think I've become a better person. I think I've become a better person because of it. And going there with our expectations and our code words and our understanding of each other's anxiety, I felt like we went like a true couple, like a real really into each other, just watching after each other and watching each other's feelings and the sensitivities of the experience,
I
which
agree.
could be overwhelming, I imagine, on one of those like Saturday nights.
Yeah, well, exactly. So the night we were there, it really was, I'm sure they consider that a slow night, but they say on, the Friday nights, Saturday nights, it can be like shoulder to shoulder people in the pool area, like for the pool party and stuff like that, or even in some of the rooms.
Naked bum to naked bum.
Yeah.
In the two
That does sound like
jacuzzis
fun.
and the shallow swimming pool they have with
Yeah.
a bar in between it. That's the outside area, the courtyard of the hotel.
Yeah.
Motel. It's
It's
let's
a
talk about the
motel.
motel. It's definitely a motel.
It's a motel. Yeah, for sure. 100%. Yeah, so it is a motel, and they've got rooms around the outside and then around the inside, which looks out into the pool courtyard area, tiki bar area. And it looked like they had multiple other bar areas that just weren't open that night. I think they said they had 5 bars there, something like that. I may be off on my numbers, but
Like any club, they're there to sell alcohol, aren't they?
oh yeah, that's what makes everything go smoother, and sometimes until it gets not smooth.
Their website isn't, I don't know, their website isn't the best website in the world for really knowing what you're going to get before going. I guess you just have to jump into the pool essentially to figure out things, and so I'm glad we figured things out by going. But the room we booked for Thursday night was cheaper than the Friday or the Saturdays, more expensive than the Wednesdays. You could definitely see their busy times based on the rooms. But the rooms, I think, are privately owned. They're condos. And the photos that they had for this one particular room on the bottom floor looking out into the parking lot had a white interior, really smooth and clean surfaces. I think we wanted clean the surfaces.
Yeah.
There were some other rooms that were plush with carpet and materialed couches. Like, yeah, I don't know about that. But there was a swing in there, a leather swing on chains, and that really attracted me. So we booked that room. And what did we get when we got there? What's our room?
Well, I mean, it was what you purchased. I mean, I think that's the room that you probably saw. It looked like the pictures, but it definitely wasn't as clean. But that swing was pretty cool, for sure. I was a little nervous of all the surfaces in that room. What did you think of the room?
Well, I liked the looks of the room.
Yeah, it looked nice.
But a Motel 6 is better stocked. We didn't
Yeah.
have towels. We didn't
No.
have a trash can.
No
We didn't have
shampoo.
any soap and shampoo.
Well,
Like,
and they had those containers. They were just empty.
yeah, they had empty containers.
Yeah, there's no trash can in there. And I had to request a trash can, and it took like an hour for them to find one from the trash can room. I don't know.
So interesting. Like the general feeling. It's a Motel 6 that's not very well stocked.
Yeah.
That's the negative. That's the one negative. But the swing was certainly a positive. I think it was an asymmetrical mount into the ceilings, and we
was-
never really got the most comfortable
No.
positioning with it.
It was not well executed.
It wasn't well executed.
It looked
but
cool.
It looked cool. It certainly looked cool.
I'll tell you what it did. It makes me want a swing so badly, though. I want multiple swings, actually. I want one for your van, and I want one for the bedroom, and there's probably another room I want to stick one in. I see great potential for sex swings.
Do you have any experience with sex swings?
No, but I need way more experience.
Yeah, we were going to have experience that night, but our swing was kind of questionable.
We played around with it a bit, though.
Of course we did.
Yeah.
And it also included a lot of adjusting with the chains, climbing up, not fully clothed, and trying to adjust chains, and it was a fun experience. But we're drawing out the good stuff. Let's go into the bar.
Okay, so that was our first little outing, like, hey, let's just go grab a drink. And, people were so friendly, I have to say. It was very welcoming. It didn't feel like sleazy at all. We go up to the tiki bar area and they're having bingo, like just bingo, and like really bingo. And they had food you could get there. But people were just, the minute we walked up, oh, hey, is it your first time here? Where are you from? It was just, I really appreciated that. And there weren't a lot of people, maybe a dozen people when we got there.
And it didn't really grow much more than that. I think in total there might have been 30 people that night.
I agree.
So,
yeah.
Around there. But I loved, and this is why I wanted to go there, to commingle with naked people.
Yeah.
We were fully clothed.
Yeah.
And yet there were, the two jacuzzis were right next to us, and people of a variety of dress were there, a variety of demographics, many older people, 50s, 60s, younger people, not so much, different body types,
different races,
different sexual orientations, but it was just mellow.
Of life. No, I appreciated that as well. It was a good snapshot, really, of humanity, I think, in some ways.
Yeah, a humanity that trusts itself. There were...
was confident.
Yeah, and I think, again, that maturity of sexuality means that regardless of what your body type is, regardless of what your gender is, regardless of what your race is, if you're confident in yourself, you can meet and socialize with others, even fully naked.
Yeah. Well, I realize I like being fully naked, and it's not my first time to be in a, social situation where everyone's naked.
You're Burning Man.
I've been to, multiple experiences, and I've always felt really comfortable like that. So, no, I loved that. And it didn't take us long to get naked. When in Rome.
And we were in Rome, in southern Orlando. And then we took a tour. On Thursday nights, they offer a tour. An elderly couple
were
our hosts.
I know.
And they took us to the club that was empty. Nobody was in the club.
Like dance club, full on strobe light, DJ booth, dance club. And, they had some interesting rules there. You had to pay a lot of money to even sit. There was only like 5 seats in the whole place.
If you wanted a seat, you have to be a VIP.
VIP.
So more fees.
Yeah, more fees. And they say it gets really busy on the weekends, and I'm sure that that's the case. It's probably fun. Yeah, so it was a really good tour. I feel like it was very thorough. So we did tour the club, and then they took us into, what do you call it? The playroom area. Yeah, and that was interesting as well. The place just seemed to keep going and going and going, all these different rooms. And, they have a great locker room area. So if you're not staying there, if you don't have a room there, you have a place to be able to change clothes. You can rent a locker for the evening and have a place to put your stuff. And then they did have some specific rules about clothing to be worn here and not in this other area.
Completely naked to go into the playroom.
To go into the playroom, yeah, you have to be completely naked. And they said that's because they've had a few instances of people bringing cell phones in and shooting video and then posting that online, and they don't want that to happen. One thing I really appreciated, and they said it, we have heard multiple people say it, is being respectful. Being respectful, ask permission, be classy about it too. They really suggested, hey, if you are a swinging couple, or if you're a single man and if you're interested, don't go right up to the woman that you're interested in. Go to the husband or the partner that she's with. Like they had some kind of suggestions and of not just being, respectful, but just being just thoughtful about the way that you approach people. And I appreciated that.
It seems to me, from what I've gathered and heard other podcasters talking about the lifestyle, is that it's really focused on the safety of women.
Yeah.
So even these clubs, if you're a single male to come into these clubs, you're paying over $100 just to visit the place, where couples might be $10.
Yeah.
But it's much more emphasizing the couple experience, and especially the female's comfort experience, from what I've been gathering.
Yeah, and I want to talk a little bit more about that in a minute because that I was a little worried about the whole swinging aspect of it because, like you said in the beginning, I'm not really a swinger. So I was like, well, okay, well, what, what's going to be there for me? And we found a few things that, so we go into the playroom, right? And the playroom is one large room, with, very large bed in the middle, and then small playrooms all around the outside periphery of that room. And they have windows and doors, and there was even kind of suggestions there, right? So if the door's closed, that means don't go in. If the windows are closed, they don't want you to see. If the windows are open partially, that means you're welcome to peek. If the door's open all the way, you're welcome to go in. And I think that's one thing that was really great about that, us having that tour, is them being able to just say, here's the boundaries, here's how we do things here, and here's the expectations. I appreciate
And
that.
then one of the playrooms is the dungeon.
That was my favorite room. And that was a different room. There's clothing optional. You can definitely, I think, wear what you want and wear nothing.
And definitely wear shoes.
Oh,
That's
you
the
have
one
to wear
rule.
shoes. Yeah, because there are sharp objects in there, they said. And that was great, too. So I got the impression, well, no, I think not the impression. It definitely seems to be run by a different organization than owns the hotel, motel. And I felt like those were very professional. I would consider them probably experts at,
Dungeon care.
dungeon care, yeah. Which was great. They kind of gave us a tour and have all these toys to check out and,
Apparatus, including the crosses and the benches and the cages and
anything that you could be tied or strapped to in any way, they have it there. And, they have shackles, and they had glory holes, and they had rings hanging from the ceiling that you can hang from. Of course, padded beds with mirrors for people to watch, and
a throne.
Yeah.
And an aftercare area.
Yeah, I love that.
All in one big suite of a room.
Mm-hmm. And then different toys like paddles and floggers and whips hanging on the walls. And then they had a really, dialed in way of cleaning all that. So it wasn't just, hey, come in and play with our toys. It was, hey, come in, play with our toys, and then we're going to show you how to clean all this really well. So I liked that as well. And I love that they had a cart on wheels, or like a tray on wheels, and so you could grab your tray on wheels and you could go around the room and figure out which toys that you want to play with and just stock your cart with that or your tray, and then go to wherever your play area is and start playing.
And because it was the newbie night, we had a tour in there too. One of the dungeon masters was really kind to us and showed us a variety of ways to use a variety of tools, including something that we're going to review later in this episode, a flogger. I was really apprehensive. Don't get me wrong. I like a good spanking.
Yeah.
I like a spank on the cheeks. I like a punch in the belly, and I like spanking your ass with my hand and a paddle. But the idea of inflicting pain is not my thing. It's not my aesthetics. The idea of receiving pain, I like sensation. Mm-hmm. We both are sensual people, and the idea of touching the skin is important. And so we talked to the dungeon master about that. And he said, well, fantastic. A flogger, a heavy flogger, might be something that you could play with. We both looked at each other like, yeah, we'll give it a go. Let's see what this is. And he put you on a bench.
Yeah.
Mostly naked.
Yep.
He was fully dressed. You were mostly naked, and he draped this heavy flogger over you.
Felt so good.
So he wasn't whipping, draping.
Yeah, and so I think I also had been always a little nervous about floggers. I had had bad experiences in the past with people, hitting me with a dish rag or something, leaving welts, and it just seems...
You are a mom of teenage boys.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It seems like it would be hard to control. It seems like it would be hard to control how hard you're hitting with someone with that. And what I think this man really showed us is it doesn't have to be about hitting. It can be about just this sensory play, and it felt so good. I was so excited, I'll probably never forget it. I got so excited just seeing all those whips and floggers and paddles on the wall. I felt like a kid in a candy store when I saw that.
Unlike our room, which was nice to look at, this room was titillating to look at. It was hot.
It was very well done. Like
And,
it
and
was,
and the staff that maintained that were very, I don't know, enthusiastic people. And because it was a newbie night on Thursday, they weren't in their full flamboyant mode, which apparently they are in on the weekends. Between what do they say, 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., they have this, that the dungeon is open and anything goes type of activities.
yeah.
Anything goes. I mean, I want to go back to see what some of that anything goes. And then between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m., I guess they have this private oriented thing where only invitees come to have a dungeon party.
Yeah, and then the staff members there actually get to play with the guests, is what they said. And I was like, oh, I want to be played with.
Well, when he was
these staff
draping this
members.
flogger over you and then using a paddle and showing me how to do things,
Yeah.
again, not to inflict pain, but to heighten sensitivity. Oh, and when I got to do it and following his lead, that was fantastic. That was I think the best demonstration of what kink can be.
Yeah.
Stepping out of your boundaries and playing with your partner in such a way that it's such an experience. There might not even be sexual penetration, but it's a hot sexual experience.
Yeah, and I think that was really amazing for me to see. So that brings me to what I was talking about a little bit earlier. I was so worried about the swingers and where's my place? Where do I fit into this particular situation? And I realized I fit into the dungeon. That's my place, and that's where I want to be, and that's where I'd like to go back and play some more.
Will you be wearing a full like latex hoodie suit and?
No, I'll probably be wearing a thong or nothing at all. I think as few clothes as possible for me.
Oh, well, we need to book another flight out there. Let's go.
No, I've thought a lot about it since we were there.
So before we get into the review for the flogger, what have you been thinking mostly about? What's been flowing through your head after this experience at Secrets in Orlando?
Well, I've of course reflected a lot upon it. Well, first of all, flogging. I think about flogging a lot, and I really enjoyed that aspect. As soon as we got home, I started shopping for floggers immediately, and had very high expectations of what I wanted in a flogger, and really came to realize it can be difficult to find a really good, heavy, nice flogger. And I'm so glad that we got to experience that there, because if I had just bought my own flogger, I wouldn't have gotten one that I really resonated with. And I think I didn't realize I like a really big, heavy flogger. I probably would have gotten something kind of light and fluffy, and that's not what I wanted. I need something a little more than that. So.
And I'm from the Pacific Northwest, and I've spent a lot of time in Portland, where they have lifestyle clubs, they have kink clubs, they have dirty, dirty porn clubs, including theaters where you could have a variety of public sexual displays. There are a couple of shops in Portland that I've gone to where the sales staff are all about educating you on toys and are enthusiastic about showing this and this and this, and have you tried this, and have you tried this costume, and oh, did you know there's such a thing as pony play, and we've got a pony play area, and my name is Buck, and I have this dog role in my relationship, and this is the hood I wear. Like Portland, you could take classes. It's a world, and that's where I got my first intrigue. Out here in the Southeast, you go into an adult novelty store, and I don't know if the staff even knows what half these things are. And if you ask about a flogger or an impact tool, they basically say, we're going to be in the front of the store. If you have any questions, you've got your phones.
Yeah,
you
they
can
look
search online.
a little
so
nervous.
we ordered our flogger online.
Yeah, they look a little nervous when we've tried to talk to them about it, for sure. So yeah, that was huge, the flogger. And then I'd like to go back. I think there's a few things I know I would do differently, and I know I'll be more confident and comfortable next time. I'll know what to expect better. I'll know what to wear, or the fact that it doesn't really matter what you wear, because you're probably not going to be wearing anything after a little while.
And in Orlando, it's not like Miami. I have not been to Miami. You have.
I have.
Been.
I've spent a lot of time
bet
in
like
Miami.
no, it was definitely dressed down at this
Right.
club in Orlando. Lots of T-shirts and shorts before full nudity. I think a more sophisticated club like in Toronto, Canada, or Miami, it might be more club-like, where you dress to impress.
And that's what I was expecting, and that's what I had prepared for. It's so,
Well, you impress, for
Oh,
sure.
thanks.
And if I don't go with you next time, and you go with a partner, what will you be doing? How will you lead that partner into your experience?
Well, first, really clear communication. I don't think my end game will want to change a whole lot. Of course, I want to be open to my partner, and so if they want to experience different things, I'd, be willing to try most things. I'm still not completely sold on, the whole swinging thing. I'm not opposed to it. I just need to work my way into that a bit slower and decide if it's something I want to do or not. I probably still would not go with that intention. I probably really would want to just go to the dungeon and be played with publicly in front of as many people as possible and in as many ways as possible. I think that's my thing. But we really didn't get to go into the other sex room. We tried to as we were leaving, but there was no one there. I know you'd be interested in that.
Yeah, there's an orgy room in there, and
Yeah.
like you said, they're compartmentalized rooms that have curtains for doors, and you could peek into depending on the allowance of the participants in those individual rooms. But again, yeah, I really want to go back. I really want to explore more of the lifestyle, public nudity, public sex, that again is consensual and honest and safe. We had a conversation with someone at the bar about safety.
I loved that conversation with that guy, and that was very eye-opening for me as well. Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute. So I thought what was really interesting, and he was there with his wife, and they had been in the lifestyle, was it 10, 15 years, something like that? And he kind of told the story of they had been married for a long time. They had had children that were older, and they had kind of just lost their spark. And he basically had went to her and just said, something's got to change and I need something different. And he said, luckily she was into it, and they gave it a try and realized that they really loved it. And we talked to him for a long time, so I'm definitely paraphrasing, but I got the impression that the swinger lifestyle that they have really has refreshed their love and interest for each other. It's brought a spark back to their lives. And I was just really touched and impressed, and to hear that voice and that story was pretty big for me.
It was a big story in the sense that they were open with themselves and understanding where their relationship is. They're raising kids. I don't know if they were empty nesters at the point when they decided to reevaluate their relationship, but just a standard Midwest suburban couple who owns a business or two. It sounds like we didn't ask about what their careers were, but we did ask the questions on how this has helped or increased their love for each other. And it sounds like it's absolutely increased their love and their desire to be with each other. And these were social people. It seems like everybody in that area knew who they were. They fly down from the Midwest pretty regularly, and they go to hedonism in Jamaica, and they go to desire in Mexico. So they're no strangers to the lifestyle at all, and they are certainly an advocate of it.
I will say one thing I thought was interesting. He said, yeah, he said, if you're married, if you get into the swingers lifestyle, if you're having issues in your marriage, it's going to fix it one way or the other, right? So it's either going to make you closer or it's going to make you find another partner. He's like, you're going to get fixed one way or the other. If there's issues, a swinger lifestyle is not going to fix your issues. It's going to solve the problem very quickly one way or the other, whether that be, and I think that's probably very accurate.
And just to let everybody know, this dialogue about sex is to broaden our perspective on who we are as people and as lovers. So for these first few episodes, it's a one-on-one conversation between Susie and Sam. We're going to bring in other voices, and I would really like this podcast to be a journalism of sorts, basically bringing in the voices of experts and participants in a variety of elements of sex, sex coaches, sex workers. We've already interviewed a couple of people who are creating content for OnlyFans and doing some foot fetish work. So yeah, as this podcast develops, it's going to be a talk deeper into the world of sexuality.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it.
Who would you recommend go to a lifestyle club? Who would you recommend go to Orlando's Secrets?
I think anyone that's curious. I think anyone that's open in their own sexuality or is just maybe wanting to see what else is out there. Of course, people that are completely ready for that. But I think it doesn't have to be someone that's 100% hell yeah about it. I think it can be people that are curious about it and just wanting to check out the scene. As long as you're open and non-judgmental and wanting to experience new things, and that's probably a good place to start.
Well, I would recommend it to a couple who are really at a point in their relationship where honesty is a big part of the dialogue. Exploration is a big part of the dialogue. Know what each other wants, know what each other doesn't want, and look after each other to see that they're getting what they want and avoiding what they don't want.
Agreed.
And that's not for everyone.
No.
That requires a maturity.
Definitely.
That's not going to be your 20-year-old at the club.
No, and that brings us back to your own best lover, your own first lover, is
Absolutely.
knowing yourself, knowing what you're comfortable with, what your boundaries are, what you want to open up to, and being able to express that to your partner.
All right, that's episode 2.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap. In
Yeah.
the next episode, shall we talk about orgasms?
Yeah, can we go practice for a little while right now?